Guy's on a special run right now in Baltimore. And as Sarah tallied up today on X, no player in NFL history has thrown for 4,000 yards and rushed for over 1,000 in a single season. Lamar is on pace to make NFL history, which he has done often in the past. Here are the numbers he's on pace for, and I get it. It's through 6 weeks, but based on the way he's playing, you got to have the conversation. 4,300 passing yards, 1,100 rushing yards, and 5,400 total yards. If he were to secure his third most valuable player award, he'd be the youngest three-time MVP winner ever in the history of this league. He has been empowered with the arrival of Todd Monken, and he has been put through the roof with the arrival of his running mate. Look at what the Ravens offense is doing and the way in which it is operating with these two guys as focal points. They are averaging over 450 yards per game. That is first league-wide. Over 205 on the ground. In terms of yards per game, that's also first league-wide. Their first and third down percentage, 51.5. First in red zone percentage, 75. First in sacks allowed, hat tip to the offensive line with just 7. Given all the change, given all the turnover with that unit, just an exceptional statistic. R.I.P. Joe D. I hope he's looking down proud. And man, oh man, you got to give some credit to George Warhop as well, who's the interim offensive line coach. They are first in first downs per game, 25 flat. And of course, Lamar with 6.3 and Derrick 5.9. They rank number 1 and number 2 respectively in the entire NFL in rushing yards per attempt. That's a minimum of 45 carries. Baltimore's 5.9 overall yards per carry mark also stands number 1 in the league. So they are a problem. Opposing defenses have really had a challenge in front of them trying to stop these two. And the King, so far from washed up. The numbers tell you that. Analysts tell you that. And how about charts like these as well? Come on. I don't think a lot of people had this guy here. For the second time in 3 weeks, Derrick is the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, coming off a 2-touchdown, 132 yards rushing day, and a nice comfortable lead atop the pack with 704 rushing yards. That is a league leader through 6 weeks. Jordan Mason in San Francisco, not just south of him, considerably south of him at 609. Derrick has a 704. Chuba Hubbard, 485. Saquon, 482. And Josh Jacobs, 464. Round out the top 5. The King, and once he gets to the second level, good night. Brian Baldinger called out opponents of his recently in a Baldy breakdown. Does anybody want to tackle this guy? I certainly wouldn't when he's coming in with a head full of steam. How about back-to-back weeks in crunch time? It was overtime in Cincinnati, under 2 minute in the fourth quarter against the Commanders on Sunday, and Todd Monken calls 2 of those left toss plays to the King. Todd deserves as much credit as anybody. I'm telling you right now, these two together, the way that they're operating, Lamar and the King, it is seamless right now. And it's got former players like Logan Paulson, a former Washington Redskins tight end, talking about this based on what he saw from Derrick's running mate, Lamar Jackson, on Sunday.
So got to me is being on the sideline, and I don't know if I would have noticed if I was watching the TV copy, is the amount of communication Lamar does at the line of scrimmage, getting into right plays, in the correct plays, correct runs, correct protections. I think the touchdown to Mark Andrews is a great example. Like they check to, whether it's cover 6, cover 2, cover 4, they check to a route combination where you're attacking the middle of the field because it's split safety with a guy who's really good at it, Mark Andrews. He checked to that. He checked to the Derrick Henry, like the first time they ran the sweep to the left. He checked to that play. A couple of the play action passes, he looks out, he sees it's man coverage. He checks to those plays, and it was like a cheat code. It was really like his ability to identify the coverages, and that's something Fletch and I talked about after the game is just, Joe Witt Jr., like, could he have done more potentially to disguise some of the coverages and like make that a little bit harder? But I don't know if anybody thought, I know I didn't think it, that like he had that kind of ability at the line of scrimmage, very similar to Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, to just get you into the right look consistently. That was super impressive. And even the screen, like they checked to the screen, like like a lot of the big plays, explosive plays in this game came from his communication and mastery of that offense. So it's one thing to kind of scheme up a defensive look, but then and it's one thing for the defensive coordinator to call something, but when the guy on the field who's playing the play can say, oh no, like this is a better play, this is the right look, and the coordinator's ability, offensive coordinator Todd Monken, to get him to give him that flexibility, I think that really showed up big time for me at critical moments, like especially on those long drives. It's like you could tell they obviously had a run called. He gets up the line of scrimmage, he checks, and maybe the play call is a run check to a pass. You'd have to ask someone over there in Baltimore about that. But I just thought those plays were backbreaking because it took a group that was already a little bit outmanned, and then whatever advantage they had versus the run, whatever advantage they had against the pass, he would just check out of it and get you into something that was better. And I think that was something that, again, was really impressive from a Baltimore standpoint and just made it that much harder for Joe Witt Jr. and made it that much harder for the defense as a whole to win those downs. Like the one that Zay Flowers, the third down pass that he catches is a man beater that he checks to. Like it just was like kind of at every turn.
I know some of you, that's the second time you heard that one today, but just in case people weren't around for the Ravens Lunch Hour live stream that Sarah and I put together, we got tagged on that and that video on X earlier. And I just thought, man, Logan Paulson, former tight end within the Washington organization, who had a sideline view of Lamar, I thought he did a great job of breaking that down in terms of how he had Joe Witt and Washington's defense fooled, right? Guessing. The checks at the line of scrimmage, the empowerment that Todd Monken has given him at the line, showcasing how great he is in study, diagnostic, right? This guy, it's the evolution of Lamar Jackson. And now, in this Derrick Henry era, when teams are going to start to, like Cincinnati did, stack the box, sell out to stop the run. All right, well, good luck, because Lamar's got a full arsenal of talent within him and around him to beat you through the air, to beat you with checks, to beat you with the screen game that they've been having a lot of success with in Zay Flowers' case, to beat you in the intermediate game with the tight end game, with some of your tight ends going across the middle, or a Rashad Bateman who's been cashing in those type of intermediate routes in recent weeks. And of course, vertically, Zay Flowers and his threat will always be there. So good stuff there from Logan Paulson, and great stuff from Lamar Jackson, putting his entire body of work together, which has guys like Matt Ryan, another former NFL player, a former QB, speaking very, very highly of not only his MVP candidacy entering Week 7, but making some pretty big statements and predictions about where he might be headed statistically speaking before it's all said and done.
MVP through 6 weeks, would you put him at that pedestal right now?
Yeah.
I can't play that right now. Hold on a second. I don't want to get docked. Give me 1 second.
Your MVP through 6 weeks, would you put him at that pedestal right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, to me, who is harder to defend, and who is giving defensive coordinators more sleepless nights during the week to prepare for than him? I don't think there's anybody. I really think he's going to be a 10,000-yard rusher in this league when it's all said and done. And I think he's going to have 50,000 plus passing yards, which is insane. It's crazy.
It's like doing a Madden My Player and playing for 13 years and just compiling all these stats for a decade plus. I mean, that's Lamar's numbers, really.
That is something I actually never thought about, is that, most running backs, 12 years, or so they're going to be in the league. He could be in the league legitimately 20 years.
If he keeps throwing the ball better and better and being able to process, and like you said, Matt, he's in rhythm, he's on time, he's staying in the pocket. He's not quite taking hits, but he is around a lot of hits in the pocket, but the ball just seems to come out on time. Lamar looks so confident as a passer. And to your point, he could play forever. I mean, this guy is a superhero out there on the NFL field.
Yeah, and I think him becoming better and better inside the pocket, right, is only going to help him be a more sustainable runner moving forward, right? Because it's going to be less design run. It's going to be running versus premier looks. And if you get him into the open field in space, to me, that's where he's at his best. And, then you have that option at the end of the game where you've got 3rd and 1 to put him on the edge, let him run and take a little bit of contact on the sideline. You don't feel as bad about it, right? Because you're not at design run number 8 or 9 in the game. And so I think his ability to grow from throwing inside the pocket, both inside the numbers and outside the numbers, has been the most impressive part of his game this year.
Over 10,000 rushing yards, over 50,000 passing yards when it's all said and done, says Matt Ryan. That would be pretty friggin' generational. We know that he is on pace to break Michael Vick's all-time rushing record in terms of quarterback yards, rushing yards, and he will do so. He is on pace to do so at some point this season, just surpassed Cam Newton last week for the 2nd all-time on that list. And you just get the sense that Lamar's just continuing to kind of rewrite record books here, and he's doing so with the best supporting cast thus far of his 6+ year career, now in season number 7 in Baltimore.